I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff.
If you are really concerned about security, to your point, why are you going to Colombia? Why are you going to Nigeria, a war-torn Ukraine?
He walked right up to saying, the royal family wants me dead. I think of them as sort of emotional terrorists.
Americans feel like Prince Harry is sometimes an emotional con artist who fabricates and exaggerates hardships to exploit compassion.
Prince Harry's taxpayer-funded security detail was downgraded when he and Meghan stopped working for the royal family and left the country to work on podcasts and TV shows in California, which mainly involves slagging off their family. Harry still gets state-funded police protection in the UK. He just has to notify them of his trips on a case-by-case basis. He's not a working royal, therefore he doesn't get the automatic round-the-clock service that a working royal gets. Most of the public, almost all of the media, and other judges in one of Britain's top courts think that is fair enough. Harry, of course, thinks it's deeply unfair. He says he's not safe in the UK, although he's reportedly safe enough to order a Deliveroo to his friend's house when he was over here last, and to go to Ukraine, which apparently he viewed as safer, clearly, than the UK. In his bombshell BBC interview, he blamed pretty much everybody, of course, as usual, other than himself, including his father, the king, who is currently, of course, suffering from cancer.
I've never asked him to intervene. I've asked him to step out of the way and let the experts do their job. Ultimately, this whole thing could be resolved through him, not necessarily by intervening, but by stepping aside, allowing the experts to do what is necessary.
An establishment stitch-up, he called it. This is, of course, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, the Earl of Dumbarton, and Baron Kilkeel. That's pretty establishment, buddy. This is a delusional, treacherous, bitter little man who's completely lost touch with all reality, a multi-millionaire who's raked in a fortune by regularly abusing his family and regurgitating private stories in books and TV shows while simultaneously lecturing the rest of us about not invading privacy. It's quite extraordinary, isn't it, that he should expect us to pay for him to live as a celebrity. In a half-hearted appeal to the sympathy vote, he said he would like to reconcile with his father before crudely and shockingly speculating on his father's battle with cancer.
I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile.
You think that's the only reason he doesn't want to talk to you, Harry? It's not that you trashed him, his wife, your brother, your brother's wife, everybody else, calling them all a bunch of callous racists. Think that might have played some part in why none of them want to talk to you or trust you as far as they can throw you? Now, obviously, if Harry did want to reconcile with his father, then perhaps he wouldn't be repeatedly attacking him on TV. The fact is that he and Meghan have become a waning brand of vanishingly limited interest to the American or the British public. Their only currency that works is to peddle very unpleasant stuff about the family and monarchy that they abandoned and are now apparently on a mission to destroy. Now, the king can end this feud, Harry's right, but not by shaking hands with this treacherous little weasel, but by stripping him and his wife of the royal titles that they love to use for commercial gain without doing any of the work that comes with being a working royal in this country. And we saw that, of course, as the VE Day celebrations happened this week. That's what a real royal does. They don't lounge in a California mansion spending the ill-gotten gains they make from trashing their family. Well, to debate all this, I'm joined in the studio by Uncensored contributor and family lawyer Paula Rowan-Adrian and Vanity Fair royal correspondent Katie Nicholl, plus from the United States by the Daily Mail columnist Maureen Callahan and the LA-based royal commentator Kinsey Schofield. So welcome to all of you. I do want to start, Katie, by saying welcome back, because viewers may not know this as to why you've not been on this show for quite a while, but you actually, it turned out, were secretly, you didn't tell anyone, you were having your own battle with cancer. You wrote incredibly movingly about it. You've come out the other end. You look fabulous.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm fabulous. I'm doing very well, thank you. And delighted to be back doing what I enjoy doing. And actually delighted to see the King and the Princess of Wales, who have, of course, gone through their own cancer diagnosis, you know, putting a spotlight on it, smashing stigmas and doing what the royal family do so well. So I just think that message is, listen to your body. If something doesn't feel right, get it checked out.
Well, it's great to have you back. And I really mean that. We've been friends a long time and you went very quiet for a long period. We were all very worried about you. And now we don't have to worry. You look fabulous. So it's great to see you. Just to start with you, Katie, though, about what's gone on here. If ever we saw the two sides of these two, I call them two, because one's a renegade royal family operating in America, a sort of splinter group, and one is the actual royal family here doing what we expect of them. The contrast couldn't be more marked. People doing their duty today in front of hordes of people in London to celebrate the 80th anniversary of VE Day, obviously one of the great moments in the country's history. And then Harry, you know, in the build-up to this, when it's the last thing the royal family would have wanted, out he comes spray gunning all the royals again, including his father, who, you know, he tells the world now isn't talking to him, and disingenuously claims it's only because of his security issue, when of course it isn't.
Well, it was extraordinary, and I've just come off the back of the coverage for the BBC for the VE Day commemorations, and you know, you are struck with that sort of the irony of the situation. You've got the royal family up there representing the armed forces, a military family themselves, and of course the one serving member of the royal family, or the one who'd served 2 tours of Afghanistan, Prince Harry, was notable by his absence. And I think we'd all hoped that there would be an opportunity that he might be able to come back to Britain in some sort of circumstance. But frankly,
actually, I didn't.
Well, but his behaviour.
I don't want them stealing all the attention away from the event, which is all they ever do.
Well,
coming over, yapping away, and then going back with all the new information they glean from their family to go and sell it onto American television.
Well, it was very nearly overshadowed, of course, by that BBC interview, and very much the guidance we were getting from the palace is that please, can we keep the focus of today on the veterans, on VE Day, which of course it was. But, you know, Prince Harry has lost his place at that table. He has lost his place on that balcony.
And just be clear, voluntarily. Let me bring in Maureen. I mean, Maureen, I think you share my view of these two. What's interesting is a lot of people in Britain ask me, I've just been in America for a month, for example, on both coasts. And they say, you know, what do Americans think of them? I said, you know what? I think they find them really dull. And the only interesting thing they think about them is when they're trashing their family, and it's all good, juicy, salacious gossip, which is what we saw again with Harry this week. But it's been diminishing returns for a long time. And as somebody pointed out to me today, they supposedly left to have a happiness and a freedom. And yet all we keep hearing is how trapped they still feel and how obviously unhappy they must be to keep complaining.
Well, Piers, again, I hear this all the time too from the Brits. Like, what do Americans really think of Harry and Meghan? We despise them. We have had a conclave of sorts. We have come to a universal response. We are a single organism. We despise them. I loved how you described Harry and Meghan as sort of a splinter group of a royal camp in America. It made me think of, you know, I think of them as sort of emotional terrorists, and I think of them, it's sort of like ISIS, you know, being an outgrowth of Al-Qaeda, a splinter group. And that's what they're doing. And I listened very closely to that BBC interview, which was full of rage, grievance, a false claim, in my opinion, by Harry, that he wants resolution. He lives for unresolved conflict. Yeah. Otherwise, he's got nothing going. And also the implication, which shows you how paranoid, delusional, and utterly lost he is. Piers, he walked right up to saying, the royal family wants me dead.
Yeah, he did. It was unbelievable. All right, well, let's turn to the resident they can do no wrong member of the panel. Paula, you've been on a lovely holiday. I've been following your travails on... travails is not quite the right word. Your luxurious travels through Italy. So welcome back. Looking very well and rested. Go on then, try and defend this.
Do you know what?
Did you watch the whole thing?
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I've read as much as I can feasibly read. But I just want to focus on the whole defence thing. You talk about me defending the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. This isn't about defending. What this is about actually is me saying, where are we in terms of a monarchy? Do we want a strong monarchy? Do we want a long-lasting monarchy?
Yes and yes.
Because if we do, then we need to stop attacking and start supporting.
Who's doing the attacking?
Now,
Hang on.
what we are told...
I don't disagree with you.
Yes.
I agree with the first
Okay.
part of that.
Okay.
Yes, I do want a strong monarchy. Yes, I do want to give it longevity. I'm a big monarchist. But the last part of that, the only attacking is coming from one side. There is no attacking from the royal family against these two.
Well-
it's only coming from Harry and Meghan for the last 5 years against them. As a
told
senior
is
member of the royal
what
family
we are
attack them
told,
in public.
but you know
When?
that you know that senior members never publicly come out and make comments
you agree
like
with
that.
me?
So, but what we are told is a source said, or a source close to the royal family said. My point is, look, the royal family are in trouble as an institution. We know that in terms of the support for the royal family, it's in decline.
Did you see the mall
And
today at Buckingham Palace?
It's in decline. And we know that because the polls tell us, and we know that particularly in relation to the youth, the younger generation. And if you
Why do you think that is?
And if you are to stop, because of the relevance.
Could it,
because
hang
of
on,
the relevance.
Could it be because they've been branded a bunch of callous racists by these two
Well,
who
you
absconded
keep
to...
saying that. That's
Well, they
another
did,
thing
they
I
did.
need to correct you on. They never said that their royal family were callous racists.
Oh, they
Those
did?
are your words.
No, no,
Those are your words.
Okay.
And Prince
Hang
Harry
on.
very clearly said
on. No, hang
those
on.
were not the words that he used to
Yeah.
describe.
No,
the
he later
incident
blamed
that
the media.
He heard.
Let me just remind you what they told Oprah Winfrey. She said that she was suicidal and that when she went to somebody senior at the palace to ask for help, she was told she couldn't get any. I didn't believe it at the time. It never appeared in Harry's book. She's never repeated it. There has never been any shred of evidence to support that story whatsoever. One. Secondly, we now know from Omid Rabies, whatever his name is,
Scobie.
arse-licking little Burke that does whatever they tell him to do, from a book that appeared in Holland, and I was the one that revealed this, that he reported that the two royals who Meghan Markle claimed had been racist about the skin colour of her baby even before it was born. Well, hang on.
Harry
hang
had
on,
raised
hang on.
in conversation
that they had raised
with Meghan
concerns
Sussex.
that she wanted us to believe, and told the world via Oprah, that they had raised concerns about the skin colour of her unborn baby. In what world do you think it is likely that Catherine or Charles ever espoused a single racist undertone to any comment about the birth of their unborn child? And again, Paula, it never appeared in his book. He never repeated it again, and nor did she. And in fact, he then said later, oh, no, it was the media that said it was racist, not me, Gov.
So you agree with me?
No, I agree with you.
And the
I agree
point
with you
I
that
was
he later
making,
tried to lie about it.
That the words callous racist are your words. Again, you agree with me.
Can I
You
just
agree
interject?
with me on that too.
When the royal family found themselves at the centre of that storm, regardless of who said what Harry and Meghan pointedly didn't do was come in and clarify the situation when they could have done. They enabled that row to continue, which caused a huge continental rift, which was the cover story of Vanity Fair. And the repercussions have been vast and wide. And I think part of the problem in all of this is that, as Harry said, actually, the king probably did have the power to intervene and sort all of this out if he had wanted to, because he is the king.
They don't trust him as far as they can throw them.
He doesn't trust his son.
How can you? Even when he came back for Prince Philip's funeral, he wrote in his book about the private conversations that he, William and Charles had at the funeral, while simultaneously suing every newspaper he could for invading his royal privacy.
So
I mean, the hypocrisy is beyond anything I've ever seen.
What are you witnessing? You are witnessing a broken heart that is allowed to bleed openly. That is what we are witnessing.
That's not what I'm witnessing.
That is what you are witnessing.
I'm witnessing an entitled, arrogant, bitter, twisted little man who's had his claws dug into by a manipulative LA lady, and the pair of them have gone on a mission, a wrecking ball mission, to enrich themselves by abusing the very institution which bestowed the titles to them, which they used to make money. It is the worst example of double standard hypocrisy you could imagine. Let me bring in Kinsey, who's been waiting patiently. Kinsey, you're in LA. I was there recently. Like I say, I think Bill Maher said it last weekend that the general view is just total apathy towards them now. Although I accept, as Maureen said, a lot of people really do hate them. But they're kind of viewed like a kind of like B sliding into C-list celebrities now. And my argument would be, okay, fine. If you want to exist as a C-list celebrity like everybody else in LA who's at that level, that's no problem. But you have to give up the titles. You can no longer be the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. You can no longer call yourselves that, or HRH as she does on her ghastly little jams, or whatever it is. You can't do any of that.
There is a bigger issue here than simply whether Prince Harry feels safe. The real question is how credibility is built when someone is making a serious claim about personal security. Security concerns deserve to be taken seriously, but so does consistency. If someone argues that the United Kingdom presents an unacceptable level of danger, viewers are naturally going to compare that claim with the person's willingness to undertake high-profile international appearances in places that can also present significant security challenges. That doesn't automatically prove that Harry's fears are unfounded. Risk isn't simply a matter of geography. Threat assessments can change depending on the event, location, intelligence available, and level of protection. But this is where the public debate becomes difficult for Harry. Once the argument moves from, "I need protection," to "my family is responsible for resolving this," the issue becomes much more personal. And that distinction matters. A security decision can be evaluated through evidence and policy. A family dispute is driven by trust, emotion, history, and personal relationships. Mixing the two may make reconciliation even harder because every disagreement over security can begin to look like another chapter in the much larger family conflict.
In other words, you can't have your royal cake and eat it.
Oh, it's hard to take Prince Harry seriously when he's complaining about real security concerns on international television and watching the family inching closer to showing the children on social media, with the justification being that this is helping to build Meghan's commercial brand. You know, if you are really concerned about security, to your point, why are you going to Colombia? Why are you going to Nigeria, a war-torn Ukraine? You think he would be more considerate of Ukraine right after sitting in a courtroom arguing that he didn't feel safe. I do think that Americans feel like Prince Harry is sometimes an emotional con artist who fabricates and exaggerates hardships to exploit compassion. He constantly craves pity, often at the expense of the truth. This isn't the first time that he's told us his father won't talk to him. Meghan Markle told us on the Netflix series, Harry lost his father. Harry told Oprah Winfrey, "My father's not taking my calls." It later was revealed, alleged by sources, that King Prince Charles at the time told Queen Elizabeth, "I'm not an ATM," because those calls were about money. So Harry and Meghan, they have an issue when it comes to their memory and when it comes to the truth.
You know what, Maureen, is very interesting to me is that you don't see them with A-list stars anymore. And I think the reason for that is they've become very toxic. And also A-list stars,
Except for Gwyneth Paltrow, quite recently.
A-list.
Gwyneth, I don't know if you've got a response to that.
Well, all right. There's one or two maybe in the last 2 years. But the point being more in that they had a lot of them around them to start with, Oprah and all the rest of them. But they've become so toxic. Most big stars now, they want the real royals rocking up at their events. They want them at their rock concerts. They want them at their movie premieres. They want William and Kate. They don't want the ones that everybody hates. So they're losing that cachet very fast. And it seems to me that Hollywood is abandoning them fast.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they hit the ground running with alienating the A-list in Hollywood when right after Megxit, they went to that Disney premiere, recall, and Harry rocked up to Bob Iger, head of Disney, and said, "Hey, my wife over here who's just chatting casually with Jay-Z and Beyonce, never forget the Beyonce message, the text in the Netflix special, you were sent here to heal generational trauma." You know, she's available for voiceover work. You could see everybody recoil. Like, what is this? Nobody will go near them. To your point, I think more people are keeping their mouths shut about Sean Diddy Combs, whose trial started today for his sex crimes alleged, than want to be seen with these two. I think Gwyneth did a very savvy thing by doing a wordless, like 5-second clip on Instagram, and then dispatching with Meghan Markle very quickly. And one other thing about this disgusting interview that Harry just gave to the BBC, which was supposed to be only 10 minutes in length, went 30, sounded more like a therapy session than any sort of actual news giving, whatever event. It's me, I. His father, Prince Charles, is battling cancer. He intimates publicly, I don't know how long. He actually says it. I don't know how long my father has left. Disgusting. He and Meghan are repeating history. They are doing to King Charles what they did to Prince Philip on his deathbed with that Oprah interview. They are doing what they did to the Queen in the run-up to her death, and then Harry's missives to the media. Oh, William and Aunt, they left without me. I wasn't on the plane. I got the call too late.
Yeah.
Me. I. They're doing it to the king, and I promise you, Piers, and I'm sure you see this coming. Once there is a King William, that door is well and truly shut, and the title's gone.
Yeah, I think it might be heading that way fast now. I mean, Katie, it just strikes me that these two, they've tried pretty much everything, but the royal door has slammed. I know a couple of people in the royal family who just say that I don't think almost anyone in the family is now talking to them.
No.
Possibly Eugenie still has a connection.
That's tenuous after your last meeting with her, which she didn't like very much.
Yeah, I don't think you'll find both those sisters have the same situation with them. So I think that I just feel like the drawbridge is up. There's no, I just don't see how Charles doesn't trust them for a reason. They've abused that trust so many times.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been the ultimate betrayal, first with Oprah, then the Netflix docuseries, the many interviews, and of course Spare, which was just so damaging. And I think, for the king, I know sources very close to the king who say he desperately wants to see. I mean, can we just also see the human story in all this? 2 little grandchildren who don't see their grandfather, a king who has cancer, who is doing well, and please God is going to live a long life and do well because he's doing the job brilliantly. But we don't know. And in all of this, a fracture in a family that we look to be a united royal family.
I think he actually...
And it's not. And it's not.
Yeah, but I think it's more that Charles has been so preoccupied with his health, which has clearly been a very serious situation. And I think as has Catherine, the Princess of Wales, they've all had more important things to worry about. But I think they're just too tired to think about these two. I mean, Paula, look, let's try and get to the humanity here, right? I'm trying to think, I've got 3 sons. If one of them did this, as a father, obviously, when we've seen it actually with David Beckham, right now with Brooklyn Beckham, who snubbed all his 50th birthday, which I never thought would happen with that. He all seemed a very tight family. And what did Brooklyn do? No offence to our American ladies down the line, but it seems to me every time one of these Brits gets involved with an American woman, all hell breaks loose in their family. I'm just casting aspersions across the pond because you're not here to defend yourselves physically with me in the room. But I told my son, stay away from the Yank women. That's a joke. It's a joke. But Paula, on the human side of this, let's try and get to the humanity. All right, so they've all fallen out. They've had a massive thing. You've got Harry behaving like an idiot, whatever. This picture, though, that she posted was so calculated. After Harry says, well, you can't have any rapprochement until the security issue gets done. There's a picture of Harry walking away with his kids, one on his shoulder, one holding his hand from behind, using the kids again for promotional reasons whilst protesting they want privacy for their children, putting them in the public domain, but walking away. It's very deliberate, very calculated. It's like, we're walking away from you people. Charles, you might be suffering from cancer, but if you don't give me what I want, you're never seeing your grandkids. That's what that was about.
Well, let's flip that. Let's flip your very negative view and try and look at
It's not just me.
And try. Oh, I appreciate that.
Do you meet anyone that agrees with you these days?
I appreciate that because the job that has been done in terms of helping this tragedy to widen to the extent that it has been fantastic. It has been so impressive.
By who?
And to answer
By who? By who?
I don't know.
Well, who?
I don't know.
Who?
There are lots of people who
Could it be the 2 people who've been on Oprah, Netflix, podcasts, BBC interviews? Could it be those two who are the only ones in this whole saga doing any talking?
It would be so easy, wouldn't it, just to blame one person? But we're talking we're talking about a family, and we're talking about a family tragedy. And Piers, you and I, we always have this backwards and forwards about everyone's truth, but we're dealing with a family, and you know that in a
there's
family,
only one truth.
and you know in a family situation, the dynamics are seen from every single angle. Okay, so that's looking at it humanely. The other thing that we need to consider is, as Katie quite properly said, we've got a grandfather here who's not been able to see his grandchildren. We have thousands of grandparents. Two grandparents.
Because you have her father has never met.
What we're really seeing here is a problem that money, titles, or even security arrangements cannot easily solve. Trust has become the central currency in this relationship, and once trust is damaged, every new conversation becomes much harder. Harry appears to want his father to intervene, or at least remove what he sees as an obstacle to reconciliation. But from the other perspective, reconciliation cannot simply mean reopening the door without addressing what happened after the family conflict became public. That's the uncomfortable reality on both sides. If Harry genuinely wants a private relationship with his father, the most powerful route may not be another interview explaining why reconciliation has failed. It may be demonstrating over time that private conversations can remain private and that disagreements don't automatically become international headlines. And equally, reconciliation cannot be entirely one-sided. Families don't repair deep fractures simply because one person says they want peace. So perhaps the most important question isn't who wins the security argument. It's this: what would each side actually have to change to make trust possible again? Until that question is answered, even a genuine desire for reconciliation may remain trapped beneath years of resentment and public confrontation.
Even met Harry.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is incredible. She's managed to, Meghan Markle, who'd already split.
Meghan Sussex. Yes.
No, she's not.
There
She's
are
Meghan Markle to
thousands,
me. Sorry.
Thousands
Wait a minute.
of grandparents.
I come from Sussex. I've spent more time in Sussex this week, just gone, than she ever has.
It was a title that was given to.
I'm not giving them the titles anymore. I'm not.
Well, it's not in your power to take those titles away.
It's in my power to call them what the hell I want. It's my truth. And my truth is, they're not the Duke and Duchess of Sussex anymore.
Well,
that's my truth, Paula. And I know you would. I know you would respect my right to have my truth and my set of facts.
But we know that you're wrong about that, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But you know, thousands of grandparents make applications to the family courts every year in an attempt to see their children. And what I understand from international,
and you know this area very well.
I know that very, very well. And what I understand from international reports, and Katie, you might correct me on this one, but what I've read actually is that the Princess of Wales and the Duchess of Sussex are attempting to reconcile. The brothers are attempting to reconcile
Absolutely
Harry
untrue.
with the father.
I don't.
Absolutely untrue.
I really hope that what I've read.
I'm told Prince William would literally rather shoot himself. Honestly,
I hope that what I've read is true, because it's important.
No,
you are seeing a decline in the status of the monarchy.
Because
Together is stronger. Together is stronger.
Do you accept that what Harry and Meghan have done for the last 5 years has damaged the monarchy?
I accept that this situation has been handled so badly, and it is really disturbing to see that the men in grey suits that Princess Diana referenced have failed to learn from the very obvious lessons that they got wrong with Princess Diana.
There's no comparison.
And have allowed...
There is no comparison.
Well, Prince Harry makes a comparison and has allowed this to get to the absolutely diabolical state that it's in at the moment.
Yeah, but
I am gobsmacked that people didn't step in earlier.
Oh, they've tried.
To stop it.
They've all tried. Trust me, they've all tried.
Well, how do we know that?
I am very reliably told.
From a source, no doubt.
My
from
sources,
a source, no doubt, close to the royal family.
I won't say who my sources are, but I'm very reliably informed.
And a reconciliation is some way off. I think
it's non-existent.
very important to just make that point.
Sorry,
it's
non-existent.
It's
non-existent. Harry wants to, honestly, he'd rather shoot himself. Let me bring in Kinsey again. What happens here, Kinsey? What's the end game for all this?
I think the end game is that Harry and Meghan continue to monetize and continue to utilize their proximity to the British royal family as much as they can. I mean, Perhaps this was just Prince Harry reminding us that he's the son of the king, because that's the only currency they have here in the States. That's the only thing that makes them relevant. Meghan's podcast has fallen off the charts. She's been criticized for the content. There are rumors that her As Ever launch wasn't as successful as she considered it. Critically, With Love Meghan was not a success. So I think that every once in a while they just have to remind us that they are attached in some way, shape, or form and stir the pot.
Well, let's take a look at some of this podcast, because honestly, just when I thought it couldn't get any more ridiculous, there's a clip where she emails her young kids every night, even though they're there. Let's take a look.
And so I'd created for the kids these email addresses that sort of like names, again, that you would never guess, that I will give them at some point in their lives when they're older. But before I go to bed almost every night, I email them.
Wow.
I email, because it doesn't have to be a heavy lift, and you email them like, here's your report card from today, or oh my gosh, you said the funniest thing this morning, or here's a picture of you two having breakfast, or here's you playing with the dog. The things that you're not going to frame, the things that you're not going to put pen to paper in a journal, but they will end up at one point in their life, maybe when they're 16 or when they're 18, that I say, here's an email that I've been keeping for you.
Because that's really what you want when you're 18. 40,000 emails, Maureen, from your mother about every time you burped in public. You know what's really interesting about that clip? That's not actually her podcast. It's her appearing for the first time on another podcast, barefoot, no makeup, the usual weird, manipulative kind of thing. You're trying to send some message about it. I knew her a bit before she met Harry. She was nothing like that. She didn't speak like that. Her mannerisms weren't like that. This is all fake, right? She was a real hard-nosed LA girl, right? Who was on the fast track. Yeah. Now she's like this, oh, I'm soft, I'm mummy, I'm this. It's all bullshit.
Now she's this beatified saint. I'm guessing when you knew her, our impression of her was she was a striver on the hustle, and she was on the prowl.
Actually, perfectly likable. This is the weird thing. I said it at the time. Perfectly likable and perfectly. But no, there's no doubt the way she then ruthlessly cut everybody out of her life the moment she met him showed a very different side. That then you heard all the stories about the first marriage and what was going on there, and how she cut everybody out. Then you realise she cut all her family out, and then Oprah and George Clooney are sitting where her dad should have been at the wedding, and so on. And the whole thing unravelled very quickly. And interestingly, Maureen, I'll just play this clip to get your comment on this too. This is where she talks about what happened when she came into the royal family. Let's take a listen.
I mean, you have to imagine at the beginning, everyone has like butterflies, and then we immediately went into the trenches together.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate, like 6 months into dating. So now 7 years later, when you have a little bit of breathing space, you can just enjoy each other in a new way. And that's why I feel like it's more of a honeymoon period for us now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be married forever?
Yes.
I have a letter.
He's also a fox, if you haven't noticed. My husband's very, very handsome, but his heart is even more beautiful.
Oh my God, pass the sick bucket. What's fascinating, Maureen, is that despite all this idyllic world they now live in, he looks permanently, unbelievably miserable. So one of them isn't telling us the truth.
And Piers, if I may slice and dice for a quick second. Okay, we're not wearing makeup. We are wearing makeup. You can see the blush. You can see the foundation. We're not applying our bronzer with a trowel. Number one. Number two, emails to the children. She tells us what wasn't shown in that clip. She finishes that thought by saying, these emails are so that when my children are of age, they can come to me and say, oh my God, you loved us so much. It's me, me, me. She was in the trenches with Harry. Excuse me. She wangled her way onto the cover of Vanity Fair. Graydon Carter, EIC at the time, said when he was approached, he said, who the F is this woman? Oh, she's going to get engaged to Prince Harry. Well, let's give her the cover. Okay, who arranged that? They got a $40 million wedding, cheered by the British taxpayers who footed that bill. She's going to stay married to him forever, says the woman who was reportedly shopping a post-divorce memoir within the past 6 months and who we saw on video in New York City 2 weeks ago, entering a Time 100 summit where she had zero business speaking, swat his hand away as he went to take it. So yes, this is the love story of all time, Piers, of course.
Katie, it is hard not to be so cynical. It is. I'm with Maureen on this. Everything they do seems so manipulative, calculated, PR motivated, money motivated, and the antithesis of what it means to actually be a dutiful working royal.
Well, you used that word splintered earlier, Piers, and I think that's the point. You've got this sort of rival court in Montecito, and I think we almost have to stop. Maybe it is a case of, the whole question over their titles, but almost stop treating them as a royal couple, because they're not. They are a celebrity couple.
Shouldn't Charles just take the titles away? I saw A.M. Wilson write that at the weekend.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And I thought significant that he finally did that, because he loves
Well,
them.
I think the fact that she's using that HRH title, even privately, is problematic for the palace. I think that's something they will be watching very, very closely, because it was the express wish of the late Queen.
Yes.
She wasn't going to strip them of it, but they weren't to use them. And of course, even in a private capacity, it's like, well, it's out there now, so should we just put it on the Netflix contract?
Yeah, and what we haven't seen, Paula, is any more details of the phenomenal sales of the As Ever range. Because I suspect what happened was they had about 3 pots of jam that sold out because they bought them all.
Strawberry sauce.
And ever since, there hasn't been actually any update on the extraordinary sales. And I suspect it's just tanking like everything else they do. Why would you buy Meghan Markle jam?
Sauce. And that makes you happy. I mean, you actually sit there and you look gleeful.
It does, yeah.
And that is...
It does. You know why?
And that's really
I am
shame.
No, because I don't
we were talking about humanity.
No, I don't want them...
We were talking about humanity.
I don't want them making money out of being royals.
You don't want them
while they're simultaneously trashing the royals and damaging the monkey.
You want to see that woman in the gutter.
No, actually, I don't really care about her so much. I don't care about her so much. Look, she's gone back to California. She's got what she wanted. She took her prince and she's milking him dry. I don't care. Listen, it's not that surprising. Wallace Simpson did it to Edward, right? It's fine. And Brooklyn Beckham's wife's doing it to him now from the Beckhams. It's fine.
All these terrible women. All these terrible American
well, I did point out,
women.
Yeah.
We are still talking
we had
about
We had two fine examples of magnificent American women staring down the barrel of the camera. So I exclude. This is not a general view, but that's 3 out of 3.
Because
but let me ask you, Paula. Look, we can talk around the houses about all this. You go to such painstaking efforts to try and find an excuse for this stuff. Surely in your quiet moments, when you're on your own and you're watching and reading this crap, you're just like, why don't the pair of you shut up? Just shut up.
Do you know what? It's not about an excuse. It's about objectivity. And I think that's really important, because I don't know the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. I don't know the Prince and Princess of Wales. But what I can see with my own eyes is an inordinate amount of negative press about them. They cannot breathe. Everything is negative, and that should worry everybody in terms of freedom of speech. In terms
freedom of speech?
In terms
what are you talking about?
In terms of uncensored, being uncensored.
Who's censoring them?
Must be a level of objectivity in terms of responding to what is an absolute
Who is censoring them, Paula?
Tsunami
Paula, I think you've
of negative information.
I say this with great respect. I think you've lost your marbles. What's it got to do with...
Just today, Piers, just today.
Kinsey, it's about freedom...
Should they not be free to say what they want to say?
Yeah, because the one thing they've not been is free to say what they really think.
And when they do...
Paula!
When they do, they are absolutely pounced on. And they have the response that they're not allowed to speak, they're not allowed to work,
they're not
all the time. They're not allowed to travel, they're not allowed to do anything charitable.
No,
they are not allowed
I think the point you're making is that they
never stop speaking
for doing right and vice versa.
Absolutely, absolutely, Casey.
They have made such dangerous. They have made such damaging accusations towards the royal family. I think it's about holding them accountable. I think that people are simply fact checking or saying, well, you're saying this today, but 2 years ago you said the complete opposite. I think it's important that we hold people accountable that are making such extreme accusations about the British royal family, because at the end of the day, it is detrimental to their brand. And if it's not true, how incredibly cruel.
I accept that fact-checking is utterly appropriate and important.
You don't, because you believe in multiple truths.
I accept that. I don't.
You think everyone can have their own truth?
It's not my job to believe anyone's truth. It's only my job.
People don't have their own truths.
It's only my job to observe.
How can you talk about fact-checking and then say everyone's got their own truth?
It's only my job to observe objective facts. And so I absolutely
Paula,
agree with you.
Do you believe in the truth?
It is about fact-checking. But I very rarely see, in terms of responses, in terms of opinions, in terms of reporting, objective fact checking. I very rarely see.
Paula, can I ask you something about the latest Vanity Fair cover story? Because
which I haven't seen.
Well, that was the final nail in the coffin. And Kinsey, I think you will agree with me on this. That was the sort of the last bastion, the last champion that Harry and Meghan had in Vanity Fair. And when they turned on them, that was objective. There was no agenda from the editor of Vanity Fair to portray Meghan in the negative light and Harry that they came out in. That deep dive into Montecito, Netflix and everything else came out with a very unflattering perspective of both of them.
I'm sorry. Also, Paula, with great respect, if someone talks like a dickhead and walks like a dickhead and acts like a dickhead, he's a dickhead. And it's not my truth
you said it,
or his truth
you
or anybody else's truth, and it requires no fact-checking. He is a monumental dickhead. And that's what we're now seeing unravelling before our eyes. And he can't stop talking. The idea that their free speech is being infringed in some way, they never stop talking. This is the problem.
Okay, Piers, let's say you're right. Let's say that we can't stop them talking. How dangerous is that for the monarchy?
Very.
Is my point.
Very.
I mean, that is fundamentally my point.
There was a survey in the Caribbean, a lot of the Commonwealth countries, but particularly Caribbean, which showed a marked drop in the popularity of the royal family.
And across the Commonwealth.
Because of the racism allegations.
Yeah.
Okay?
And
they, by the way, now apparently we're supposed to believe they never made them. Yeah. So you let the fire off, you're the arsonist, and then you run away and pretend it was actually the media that set the fire off. Bullshit.
And so my point is, do I think that this approach, this attack is going to work out right?
By who?
We know that anger never resolves a problem.
All right.
We know that. So what are we going to do in terms of those people who support the royal family?
I know the answer. You take all their titles away and you say you can swing for it and you can be...
And Prince Andrew, what do we do with his title?
Well, he doesn't do anything, Andrew, does he? He doesn't do anything. He has nothing.
He went to Easter worship.
Andrew literally sits in his house most of the time and he goes out and rides. That's it, right? What he doesn't do is give endless interviews attacking the royal family or the monarchy. He has his own crosses to bear, quite rightly, and that's what it is. But he is effectively estranged from any public life whatsoever. These two never stop going on global media to trash the royal family and the monarchy, and each time they do it, they chip away at the mystique and the magic and the popularity, and that's why I despise them for what they're doing. And the king should step in, and he should say, enough,
Piers.
The titles are all being taken away, you can now live the life you wanted, which is out on your own, free of royal
In terms of tourist attractions, Windsor Castle is 23rd in the list. Buckingham Palace is 58th in the list. Are we going to blame Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex for that? No.
What's that got to do with
But
it?
the reality is,
all right, we've got to leave it there.
That's the reality.
Got to leave it there. Thank you to my guests here. Thank you to my... any last thoughts, Maureen?
The First Amendment that Harry, when he alighted in the United States to live, said it made no sense to him that Americans have a First Amendment right to free speech, which he then has cloaked himself in to level any number of baseless accusations of racism as any primary member of his family lay dying. Okay? King of hypocrisy.
Thank you very much. Kinsey, Maureen, Katie, lovely to see you. Paula, always lovely to see you, defending the indefensible with such eloquence. Thank you all very much.
And that brings us to the real heart of this entire controversy. This was presented as a dispute about security, but the discussion has revealed something much larger. A breakdown of trust between a son and his father, a continuing argument over Harry's place within the royal family, and a battle over how much of that private conflict should be played out in public. There are legitimate questions on both sides. Harry is entitled to express concerns about his safety and to challenge decisions he believes are unfair. But public criticism also comes with consequences, particularly when the people being criticized are members of his own family and the institution he once represented. At the same time, the royal family cannot simply expect every family fracture to disappear because silence is more convenient for the institution. If reconciliation is genuinely desired, there has to be room for honest conversation away from cameras, headlines, and competing public narratives. Ultimately, the security dispute may be only the visible part of a much deeper problem, because the biggest question isn't whether Harry can win an argument about protection. It's whether either side can rebuild enough trust to stop needing the argument in the first place.